All right, today we're gonna make some concrete weights. I'm gonna show you how to do it sustainably, how you can keep making this over and over again for low cost, very efficient, very fast. And this is everything you're gonna need. You're gonna need water, something to mix the concrete into. I'm using a wheelbarrow, but you could use like a 5-gallon bucket and just mix, 2 or 3 batches in that bucket. A hoe. This is to clear off any roots for the template that we're gonna dig, and a shovel just to, obviously you know what a shovel's for. So, and then I'm using a sand pit. I'm actually growing flax in this area, but there's a portion over here that I'm not using right now, and I'm just going to dig into there. And oh yeah, you're gonna need a stick. I don't think I mentioned that. You need a stick and some string, and that's going to be to make a circular template with. All right, so I don't want this really to be any wider than this right here. So to use a string to make a circle that's going to be this wide, you're going to need to fold it and then tie a loop here so that it stays. Ooh, looks like I'm standing in an ant bed, which doesn't feel good, but okay, so I took a little bit off of there, so it won't be exactly that wide, but it'll be close. Now you're gonna need to grab your stick, and you're gonna wanna put it down into the dirt here. And I just carved off a little bit of this tip, and try and find the center of wherever you want to dig this out at. So you got your stick down, and then you're going to place this around the stick, and then you could just use your finger and mark out this circle for your plate. And that'll give you a pretty good template for a circle. Okay, so that's one of the first steps. Boom, I've got a circle and a template for the weights. All right, I lied. So you're also gonna need something like this, and I'm gonna show you in a few here why. All right, so after you get the template down, next thing you're gonna do is just start digging. You wanna get all this up, and really you want to, look at all those ants. And really what you want to do is you want to go down deeper than what you think it might be. And there are a lot of ants in here biting me right now. So they're going to be added to my weights. They're going to make me stronger. All right, so just dig this out. Make sure you stay in your template. Keep an idea of where the middle is, because if you want to add these to barbells, you're going to need to have the center pretty on point still. Oh, damn. Here. Get out. Get out. Right, let's just fast forward it. Make sure whenever you dig your hole if you dig with a shovel, it's curved, so it's going to leave a curved wall as you stab in. you're curving into the center and pulling up. So you're gonna need to make these walls straight. Make sure you get in here and really scrape the side with your shovel so that you can get these walls as straight as possible. And really, I mean, you don't have to do that, but just another tip, if you want to make it, you know, as neat looking as possible, try and straighten out those walls. And you also want to make sure that you make it deeper than you think it's going to be. I'm using a 60-pound bag of concrete, and I think that'll be enough, but we'll see. All right, next step is to mix up the concrete. That's pretty easy. Just get the hoe I was telling you, stab into the middle. That'll open it up. Tear this open. Make sure you don't inhale any of this stuff. And then get your water. Pour that in. And you want the consistency of this to be like, it's like a thick milkshake. Like a custard. Or really, you just want as much concrete with as little moisture as possible. That way it'll help the drying process a lot. So really trying to use the least amount of water as possible when you're doing this, just enough to mix up all this dry stuff with the rest of it, get it all homogenized. But really, you don't want it soupy like that. That's too soupy. You really want it like really how you want it, where you can still see a lot of the texture, but it holds form if you push into it. Just the bare minimum of moisture to get it all mixed up. Looks like I might need to dig a little bit more of that up, but we're gonna see. We'll see how it goes. All right, after mixing it, you do want to move kind of fast. You don't want to just let it sit there. But go ahead and set your can down. Make sure it's sitting straight, and then also try and make sure it's as much in the center as possible. So that looks good. Next thing you do is just shovel in concrete. All right, so the next step you want to do is to either flatten it down with the 2x4 piece, and I have a finishing trowel, so I'm going to use that. You want to make sure it all is flattened down. If it looks like it's starting to dry out, you can always add a little bit more water to the top. But the main thing now is to just get it flat, smoothed out, compact. Try and get as even as possible on all sides. That's really all you're doing at this point. Really just tapping it. You can see, like at the beach, how when you tap the sand and it gets all soft, but if you push down onto it really hard, it starts getting really tense. So a good way to get all these pieces cohered and together is just to mush it around like that a little bit. And really just move it and shake it as much as possible. It's going to be drying a lot quicker in sand than it would just out, because, well, at least the sand soil that we have here is very loamy, which means it's very sandy, and it doesn't really retain a lot of water. We just had an inch of rain maybe 4 or 5 hours ago. It's super humid here right now, and you can see this entire bed has already soaked up all the rain. It goes really quick, so this is something else that you need to put in consideration if you do this kind of method where you dig into the ground. If you're digging into clay, it's going to take a lot longer for it to dry than if you're digging into something like this, the loamy soil. And that's pretty much all I'm going to be doing now. Just tapping it around like this for 10-15 more minutes, just making sure it's really getting all those air bubbles, really trying to get everything together. It's the main thing right now. If you see any cracks, just try and wiggle it out until it all becomes one nice coherent piece. No, I'm ranting right now, so I'm gonna just stop and show you guys the finished result. All right, once you've got done smacking around the concrete for a little while, all the air bubbles should come up to the top and all the moisture should start settling at the top. You want to come by periodically and move this can to see if you can loosen it. And once you can loosen it, you want to pull it out. You don't want this to dry in your concrete. You'll also want to come back, if you want this to get as smooth as possible, you want to come back with that finishing trowel or that 2x4 and slowly just start compacting all this grit down. As it starts to get harder, it will actually start to set deeper inside of it and make a nice level surface. So if you don't want any of the grit on top, just come back, 30 minutes, check it, an hour, check it, hour and a half, and just push it down as it starts drying, and that will greatly smooth the surface so that if you, for whatever reason, you did need it smooth, you could do that. All right, so it's been about an hour now. You can tell where it's dried here, or at least more dry than the center. You can tell there's still a lot of moisture pulled up at the center area, but on the outside here, I guess if you're doing it in sandy soil, it's gonna dry first. A lot of that moisture is getting wicked out by the sand, and I'm sure it's doing the same for the bottom of it as well. Now the main thing I'm looking for, is I've already gotten this, I think as flat as it needs to be. It doesn't need to be perfect, but the thing that you want to get out right is this. If you take it out too early, then it can collapse, and if you take it out too late, then you might not be able to take it out, or you'll take out big chunks, pieces with it. And you still want to be able to take this out, hold its form, and if anything pulls out with it, you can still put it back in place and kind of tap it together and make it form up again. But what I'm looking for here is for this bottom where the can and the concrete meet. I'm looking to see, whenever I twist this, the connection here, I'm looking for it to crack and for it not to meld back together into this. Almost looks sealed up right there. I want it to spin, and then that seal cracks, and there's a obvious line there where it's separated. So you need to keep coming back maybe every 10 to 15 minutes or so and just twist it and make sure that that seal cracks and I can take it out within a good amount of time here. All right, so it's been another 15 minutes. You can see that I haven't broke that seal yet. but as you break it, so I'm just going to twist it, and as I twist it, see that? It broke, and it doesn't seem to be melding back together. If it looks like it might be melding back together, then I would not attempt this yet. But it doesn't appear to be, so I'm just going to try and pull it out here and hope that I don't destroy it. Just try and pull it straight up. And I'm kind of unscrewing it at the same time that I'm pulling it up. Seems to help. Look at that. It's beautiful. That is beautiful. 60-pound weight right there. Now you just wait for it to dry, and yeah, it'll be ready to go. You can clean up some of these edges if you want. And that's it. If you want to clean up these outside edges here, I would just dig around the sides of this, dig the outside of this, and just kind of pack it in and make these sharp corners, you know, dull. But I don't really care. I'm mainly just going to be using this for doing push-ups with, weighted push-ups, and eventually I'll get or make a bar that I can use. And yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, and you might as well write 60 on there so you know the exact poundage of these. So I'll write a 6 here. 0. 60 pounds. Nice. So if you want to save the same template so you don't have to keep digging it back up, just dig out one edge so that you can get your hand down there underneath the plate and flip it. And if there's only one edge destroyed, you can come back in with some mud and just rebuild that wall there. All right, so I've dug out that one edge. I can put my hand underneath it here. All I'm doing is pulling up. That's how it comes out. It's a little bottom heavy. Not looking too bad though. Now to save this template, if you don't want to take the time to measure out a circle again or whatever, just come back in here, add all that dirt that you dug out. If you have some deformed walls, just wet down the dirt that you dug up and you can pack it back in pretty easy. This soil doesn't hold its shape as well just because it's very sandy, but clay soil, more clay-like soil, it'll bounce back really easy. So that's my 2 cents on that. So yeah, all right, so here's a 60-pound weight. The side doesn't look bad, but the bottom here has these gaps in it, these openings, and it's not coming off, but it's not really what I wanted. I think next time the smart thing to do would be put a little bit down into the bottom and then pat it down with that 2x4 so this really gets settled, and then add another layer, pat it down, add another layer, pat it down. Yeah, but not bad for my first attempt, and I'll be able to use it for whatever I want. Thanks for watching.